Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you tried, no matter how carefully you followed every step, the doors you longed to open seemed permanently locked? Imagine pouring your energy into visualizing success, repeating affirmations, and even sacrificing sleep, only to wake up each morning facing the same walls. That moment when you whisper to yourself, "Why is nothing changing for me?" is not just a fleeting frustration. It is the silent weight pressing on your chest, the sense that life is moving forward without you. And the harsh truth is this: when you ignore the chance to shift your path, the world does not pause. Opportunities move on, leaving behind only regret. Research from Harvard has shown that more than 85% of people regret the moments they did not act when transformation was within reach. Think about that number for a moment. Almost 9 out of 10 people look back and wish they had dared to move when their heart told them it was time. If you let this chance slip, you could join that overwhelming majority, replaying the memory of what could have been instead of living what is. Let me share a story. Years ago, a woman in the United States was invited to place a modest investment into a small company. She hesitated, told herself it was not the right time, and decided to wait. 10 years later, that very company grew into a global empire worth millions. Her friends who joined the journey saw their lives change forever. She, however, carried the weight of knowing that hesitation cost her more than money. It cost her the future she once dreamed of. You see, ignoring these moments is not just about missing profit or progress. It is about closing the door to the very life you secretly wish to live. And here you are, right now, listening to these words, standing on the edge of another door. So pause, breathe, and allow yourself to feel the power of this moment. Write in the comments below, "I am ready," not as a phrase, but as a declaration. Let your words be the first spark of change, a visible commitment that aligns your energy with the possibilities waiting for you. By typing those 3 words, you anchor yourself to a decision stronger than hesitation, louder than fear. Because the real question is this: what happens when you finally decide to grasp the strength that has always been within you, right here, right now? When you choose to seize an opportunity, the world begins to shift in ways you never imagined. Those words are not simply poetic. They are the hidden truth behind every remarkable success story you have ever admired. Think for a moment about the names that echo across history. Individuals who started with nothing and yet carved their names into the fabric of our collective imagination. What separates them from you? Why does their path sparkle with victory while yours still feels uncertain, even though the desire burning inside you is just as strong? Steve Jobs, the man who transformed technology into a piece of art, often spoke about trusting the inner voice that whispers when the outside world is filled with noise. He believed that clarity and alignment inside the mind and heart were more powerful than external approval. Oprah Winfrey, once a young girl facing unimaginable struggles, built herself into a symbol of resilience and vision. She constantly reminded audiences that belief is not blind hope. It is the foundation of creation. And Will Smith, admired not just for talent, but for his relentless focus, openly shared that success comes from deciding, truly deciding, that nothing will shake your commitment to the path you choose. This is not abstract philosophy. Science itself reflects the same principle. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle demonstrates that the very act of observation changes what is observed. A slight shift in how you perceive can create an entirely new outcome. What once looked impossible becomes possible when you adjust your focus. That is not magic. It is physics reminding us that reality bends to perspective. Oprah's journey proves it. Born into poverty in rural Mississippi, faced with circumstances designed to break her spirit, she chose vision over limitation. She spoke as if her dream life already existed, and then she lived into it, step by step. Decades later, that same girl became one of the most influential women on earth, a billionaire, and a source of inspiration for millions. Her story is not about luck. It is the demonstration of alignment, resilience, and unwavering belief that shaped her destiny. Now pause and ask yourself, if they could do it, what is truly stopping you? The hunger is there, the desire is alive, the dream is breathing inside your chest. The only difference may be the decision you have not yet fully made. So let this be your moment to affirm it. If you feel that change can begin today, write in the comments, "I believe," and let that short phrase be the marker of your turning point. Because the question you must now face is this: what has been holding you back, even though your desire has been just as powerful as theirs? The obstacle standing in your way is not effort itself, but the frequency you broadcast. Let those words sink in, because they hold the answer to why endless attempts have left you exhausted and still without the outcome you long for. Think back to the countless times you repeated affirmations, worked harder than ever, and sacrificed sleep, yet the results stubbornly refused to appear. The frustration that rises from giving everything you have and still being denied can feel like quicksand, every movement pulling you deeper. It is not that you are lazy, it is not that you lack discipline. The truth is, your actions may have been fueled not by fullness, but by fear. There is a hidden difference between movement born from abundance and movement born from desperation. When you take steps because you are already certain, because you feel whole, those steps radiate confidence. They carry a frequency of clarity. But when every action comes from panic, from the silent whisper inside that says, "What if I never succeed?" then what you are really projecting is lack. And the world, like a mirror, reflects that lack back to you. Science confirms this distinction. The electromagnetic field of the heart is proven to be 60 times stronger than that of the brain. That means the signals sent from your emotional state dominate the signals sent by your thoughts. If your heart beats with fear, if it resonates with doubt, then no matter what your mind declares, the frequency you emit invites failure instead of fulfillment. There was once a young entrepreneur in New York who worked harder than anyone in his circle. He pitched to dozens of investors, revised his plans, and pushed until he was drained. Rejection after rejection tore at his spirit. But then, something shifted. Instead of approaching each meeting with the energy of need, he began to walk in with the energy of certainty. He behaved as if the right partnership already existed. Within weeks, an investor who had previously ignored his calls reached out and offered funding. The only change was the vibration he carried into the room. So pause for a moment and reflect on yourself. Are you acting out of trust or out of fear? This may be the hidden reason your progress has stalled. If you are ready to realign, to choose coherence instead of confusion, write the words, "I choose alignment" in the comments right now. Let that phrase become your declaration, your reminder that you are capable of transmitting a signal of abundance. And the question that follows is this: how can you begin to send out the correct frequency? The correct frequency is not locked inside your head. It lives within your feelings and your heart. Let that idea flow through you for a moment. Imagine yourself holding an old radio, turning the dial slowly. The music you want is already in the air, yet if the dial is just a fraction off, all you hear is static. You do not rebuild the station. You do not demand it to change. You simply adjust until the sound becomes clear. That is how alignment works within you. Your outer world does not need to be torn down. What must change is the frequency you choose to transmit. This is the foundation of inner coherence, the rare state where your mind and your heart move together instead of against each other. When your thoughts say one thing, but your emotions hum with doubt, the signals cancel each other out. But when your mind and your heart beat as one, you radiate a clear, unmistakable vibration that calls opportunities closer. It is the difference between trying to shout over noise and speaking in a voice that cuts through the crowd. Science supports this truth. Research from the HeartMath Institute has shown that when heart rhythms fall into harmony, the body enters a healing state. Brain waves synchronize with those heart patterns, and suddenly the entire system works as one. In that moment of coherence, stress dissolves, clarity sharpens, and people often describe a sensation of flow, that as though life itself becomes easier. When heart and brain are aligned, you are no longer battling yourself. You become a channel, directing energy with precision. A powerful example comes from a veteran in the United States who returned home with deep scars, carrying the weight of trauma. Traditional treatments gave him only temporary relief. Then he discovered heart-brain coherence through meditation. Day after day, he practiced breathing techniques designed to align his emotions with his heartbeat. Slowly, the nightmares lessened. Confidence returned. His body and mind began to heal, not because the past vanished, but because he tuned himself into a new frequency of peace. This is what you are capable of too. You do not need to fight endlessly. You need to tune. Take a moment now, breathe deeply, and declare in the comments, "I choose the right signal." Let those words serve as your promise to bring mind and heart into harmony. And then ask yourself this: once you have discovered the right frequency, how can you maintain that alignment for a lifetime? You sustain alignment not through endless struggle, but through the art of letting go. At first, that idea may feel strange. How could release possibly be more powerful than constant action? Yet think back to the times in your own life when you pushed harder and harder, only to find yourself drifting further from the outcome you desired. The more you chased, the faster it seemed to run. That cycle of pressure and disappointment is proof that sheer effort without surrender often creates resistance rather than results. Letting go does not mean apathy. It is not sitting still and hoping something arrives. It is the choice to release your obsession with timing, to trust that what you have asked for already exists. Imagine holding water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. But when you cup your palms gently, the water rests calmly. Alignment works the same way. Quantum physics points to this principle in a remarkable way. According to the theory of superposition, multiple realities coexist simultaneously. Every possibility is already present, waiting. What brings one possibility into form is not how much force you apply, but the collapse of the wave into a chosen outcome. That collapse happens most smoothly when you stop demanding, stop clinging, and instead align your state of being with the version of reality you wish to step into. By loosening your grip on time and control, you allow the path to unfold naturally. Consider the story of an American author who spent years pressuring himself to finish his manuscript. Deadlines piled up, stress mounted, and the harder he tried, the less progress he made. Finally, he set the project aside. He decided that forcing words onto the page was breaking the spirit of the story. Weeks later, without expectation, a major publisher reached out after reading an early draft he had nearly forgotten. The book went on to achieve recognition, not because of frantic effort, but because he released the burden and allowed alignment to work. Now it is your turn to reflect. Where in your life have you been gripping too tightly, pushing so hard that your energy only builds walls instead of doors? To anchor this lesson, type in the comments, "I let go to receive." Let those words become your reminder that surrender is not weakness, but strength, the very key to lasting coherence. And the question that naturally follows is this: what begins to unfold when you truly trust this process with all of your being? When you choose to trust, the universe begins to work on your behalf. This simple statement carries a depth that can completely change the way you see your journey. Imagine for a moment that you are floating on a river. The current is strong and steady, carrying you forward with ease. You do not need to thrash against it. You do not need to demand that it moves. All you must do is allow yourself to be held, guided, and supported. That is the essence of trust. It is the knowing that you are not alone in shaping your path, that the very flow of life is designed to carry you when you release resistance. This feeling of being supported is not fantasy. It is what many describe as the flow state, a condition where action feels effortless, where time bends and productivity expands. In this state, you are no longer forcing outcomes. You are acting in harmony with the energy around you. Research conducted by McKinsey revealed that executives who entered this flow were able to increase their performance by nearly 500%. 5 times more effective, not by pushing harder, but by surrendering to trust and allowing work to become natural. Think about what that means for your own life. Every time you have struggled, every time you have fought against obstacles, you may have believed that success required tension. But the truth is, the moment you shift into trust, action aligns. Ideas appear at the right time. People cross your path exactly when you need them. What once felt impossible suddenly unfolds with surprising ease. One of the most powerful examples of this truth is Walt Disney. Before he became a legend, he was dismissed from a job for being not creative enough. Imagine hearing those words when creativity was your very soul. He could have surrendered to defeat. Instead, he trusted the vision he carried. He believed in the flow of his imagination, even when the world told him to stop. That trust became the seed of an empire, a kingdom of stories that continues to touch generations. Now the invitation is before you. Will you continue to fight against the river, or will you step into its current? If you are ready to enter this flow, write the words, "I trust," in the comments. Let that phrase be the anchor for your choice to release fear and lean into support. And now consider this. Once you trust so deeply, how can you transform that trust into concrete results that shape the reality you desire? Results appear when you act from a place of fullness, not from a state of lack. That single idea holds the dividing line between repeated disappointment and true transformation. Think back to the moments when you made choices driven by fear. Perhaps you applied for a job desperate to escape your current situation, or you pursued a relationship hoping it would fill the emptiness inside. In those cases, no matter how much energy you poured into the effort, the outcome often slipped away. Why? Because the frequency you carried was rooted in need, and need only attracts more of itself. There is a powerful contrast between hypnotic action and forced action. Hypnotic action flows naturally from belief, clarity, and vision. It is the type of step that feels aligned, as if life itself is pulling you forward. Forced action, on the other hand, is born from anxiety. It is heavy, rushed, and often creates resistance. People sense the difference even if no words are spoken. One draws opportunities closer, while the other pushes them away. Science offers insight into why this happens. Within your brain exists the reticular activating system, a network that filters the endless information surrounding you. It selects what matches your dominant beliefs and discards the rest. If your belief is, "I am lacking," the system shows you evidence of lack. If your belief is, "I am already abundant," it highlights chances that align with that truth. This is not imagination. It is biology, proving that your inner state directs what you perceive and ultimately what you receive. Consider the story of Steve Jobs. Long before the world knew his name, he worked in a garage, building computers with a vision that stretched far beyond those four walls. He did not act out of scarcity. He did not create because he was afraid of being left behind. He acted from a vision so clear and compelling that it guided every step. His results did not appear overnight, but because he operated from fullness, from a belief in what already existed inside him, Apple emerged and transformed the world. So here is the moment for you to decide. Will you continue to act out of fear, or will you choose the power of fullness? Anchor your decision now by writing the words, "I act from abundance," in the comments. Let those words mark the shift from forced effort to aligned creation. And then ask yourself this question. If you were to act today as if your result had already arrived, what extraordinary reality would begin to unfold? When you live as if it has already happened, reality has no choice but to mirror it back to you. This principle may sound mysterious, yet it is the bridge between desire and manifestation. Close your eyes and imagine waking tomorrow morning. The alarm goes off, but instead of the usual routine, you open your eyes inside the life you have always dreamed of. Perhaps it is the home you once placed on your vision board. Perhaps it is the career you thought was far away. Perhaps it is simply the peace of knowing you are free. As you step into that day, notice how your posture shifts, how your breathing changes, how confidence begins to move through every action. This exercise is more than fantasy. It is the practice of living as if, a secret used by masters of both spirituality and science. By acting from the state of already being, you convince your mind and body that the future has arrived. And when your inner world treats the dream as real, your outer world begins to conform. Instead of waiting, you walk forward as though it is here now. The science of neuroplasticity reveals why this works. The brain is not fixed. It rewires itself according to the habits you practice and the experiences you choose to embody. Each time you behave as if your desired outcome is already present, your brain creates pathways to support that reality. Over time, the structure of your mind changes, reinforcing the new identity until it becomes natural. Living as if is not make-believe. It is training your nervous system to accept the extraordinary as normal. Think of J.K. Rowling. Long before the name Harry Potter filled shelves around the world, she was a struggling single mother in the United Kingdom. Yet even in those moments of scarcity, she carried herself as an author. She wrote with the discipline and passion of someone whose work already mattered. She believed in her identity as a storyteller before the world did. Eventually, the universe reflected that belief, and her series became a phenomenon that inspired generations. She lived as if, and reality bent to match her certainty. So now the invitation is for you. Step into the identity of the person you long to be. Act, speak, and carry yourself as if the dream has already unfolded. To anchor this choice, type in the comments, "I am living as I dream." Let this declaration mark the birth of a new chapter, where you no longer wait, you embody. And the question becomes, what kind of transformation is possible when not just one person, but an entire community begins to live from this powerful energy together? When a community aligns, their energy becomes a wave that nothing can resist. Take a moment to picture yourself not as a single individual striving alone, but as part of a vast movement, each heartbeat syncing with thousands of others. The strength of one is amplified by the presence of many, and what once felt like a solitary battle suddenly transforms into a collective uprising. This is the essence of resonance. When people come together with shared intention, the vibration multiplies and becomes unstoppable. Imagine being in a concert hall when the entire audience begins to clap in rhythm. At first, the sound is scattered, uneven, but then, as hands align, the applause grows into thunder. That is what happens when individuals who once struggled separately unite in harmony. The energy is no longer fragile. It is magnified. It is undeniable. Science calls this the resonance effect. When multiple frequencies match, they amplify one another until the power is exponentially greater than the sum of its parts. In human terms, this means that the more people choose coherence together, the stronger the signal becomes. Alone, your alignment shapes your life. Together, our alignment shapes the world. History gives us a striking example. In the United States, during the Civil Rights era, Martin Luther King Jr. stood not as a lone voice, but as the spark for a movement. His words lit fires in millions of hearts. It was not his power alone that changed the course of history, but the collective energy of communities standing together. Their unity became a force that could not be ignored, and because of that, barriers that had seemed permanent began to fall. Now, bring this back to yourself. You are not just a viewer sitting quietly. You are part of something larger, a gathering wave of people choosing to align, choosing to step into coherence. Your presence strengthens the current, and your commitment adds weight to the momentum. So let us anchor this moment. Write in the comments, "We align together," and let those words weave you into the collective. Feel the truth that you are no longer alone, that your energy joins with countless others to create a force of transformation. And then ask yourself this: what becomes possible when you take every lesson you have absorbed today, trust, alignment, surrender, and action, and bring them fully into your own journey? As we arrive at the close of this journey, it is time to bring everything together. Throughout these moments, we have uncovered 3 essential keys that have the power to reshape your life. The first is clarity. Knowing exactly what you want without confusion, without scattering your energy, creates the foundation for every step forward. The second is release. Letting go of the need to control timing and details frees you from the chains of fear and opens the door for what you truly desire to flow toward you. And the third is trust. Believing so deeply that your vision is already real, that every action you take is rooted in certainty rather than doubt. Clarity, release, and trust, these are not abstract words. Together, they form the structure of transformation. To see how powerful these principles can be, consider a story from the United States. A young man felt lost, unsure, and overwhelmed. He came across a message that invited him to declare a commitment publicly. It was nothing more than a short comment, a simple promise he typed in a single line. Yet that act, small as it seemed, became a turning point. By writing it, he told himself and the world, "I am ready." Within months, opportunities he once thought impossible began to appear. What changed was not luck. What changed was him. That one act of commitment ignited a new reality. And now, it is your turn. If you are ready to step into the version of yourself that you know is waiting, declare it now. Write the words, "I commit to change," in the comments. Let those words be your signal, your activation, your line in the sand that says you will not go back to the old patterns. Show your support. Subscribe to this channel, share it with the people you care about, and most importantly, take the energy you feel in this moment and use it as fuel for real action. Remember, something extraordinary happens when you stop hesitating and choose to act right now. I want to thank you for choosing this video among millions available. By being here, by listening until this moment, you have proven that you belong to the rare group of people who are ready to consciously create their reality. You are not simply a viewer. You are a participant in transformation. As you leave these words, carry the clarity, the release, and the trust with you. And never forget, what you choose to commit to today can become the miracle you live tomorrow.